But anyway, they were doing that at that time, and they got a bunch of information. I remember I have a photo of actually a document that I found on the internet that the Iranians had, and it's a secret document talking about some sources or people that they had that were Iraqi or that were in Iraq coming into Iran to do some stuff or something like that.
Oh,
It was
wow.
kind of interesting. They got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, the like Iran and Iraq
Yeah,
had their that war,
right.
which a lot of people
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know a lot about,
No,
So I imagine there was, the Americans probably were trying to capitalize on the animosity that was shared between the two nations, since one was
absolutely.
primarily Sunni and the other was
Yeah,
primarily Shia.
yeah.
I think Iraq at the time was primarily Sunni,
Correct,
and I think that Iran was primarily Shia. But
correct.
so yeah, I want to talk. You said you had an escape attempt.
Yeah. So anyway, they were taking us back and forth to the embassy, and then they keep taking me back to this room with a bunch of other guys that I kept sitting in,
Yeah.
and they take us one more time back and forth. So one night they brought me back, and they didn't put me. I counted my steps, and they put us in these we were in these little cottages that are on the compound. So I was in the first cottage with the other hostages, and then one night they took me out, and I'm counting my steps, and I made a quick right, like where I'm supposed to make my left and go into the cottage. They kept walking me, and then they took me into like the second cottage, and they opened the door, and then they turned me, and they opened the door as soon as you walk in, and they shoved me in. So I'm standing there going, "What's going on?" So I pull off my hood. I'm looking around, and there's carpet on the or rugs on the floor. There's a tin on the floor with some bread and some dates and stuff like that. So I walk around. I look out the window. I don't see anything not out there. I walk around the other one. I walk and there's a bed in there still. Wherever we went, they always took everything out. And then I'm between the bed and the window, and I'm looking out, and I go, "What the heck is going on?" So I walk back over. And then I hear something down the hall, and I go, "Oh crap!" So I run around, and I get between the window and the bed, and I duck down. I just kind of sit there like this. Door opens, and a bunch of females come in, and they look over at me, and they go, "Salam alaikum." I go, "Salam, salam." And they sat down, and they kind of didn't look at me. They just because they're not going to look at me, pay attention to me. It's
Iranian
Iranian
women.
female, yes, in full chador. So they sit down on the floor, and they start eating some dates and stuff, and they brought some drinks and with them, some tea and stuff, and they were sitting there eating.
And what were you in that room for?
I have no idea. I'm still not figuring it out. So
They're like, here, let's put him in a room with a bunch of women. That doesn't
yeah.
make any
No,
sense.
but I don't know if they knew I was coming. I don't know what they were doing. And
There
I don't
was a
think because of
miscommunication
the
on their
women
part.
talked to me because they thought I was one of them. Dark
Really?
hair, dark whatever, and they thought I was one of them, and they talked to me like I was one of them, and I was over there between the wall, and I was just hiding back there looking, and they had no idea. So they just sat and they ate some bread and dates and stuff and drank the tea, and then they got up and left. I was like, "That was weird."
Yeah, I would say that's the weirdest.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird
So it's like a
situation.
bunch of sheets, dark sheets and stuff in the corner.